So this is from 5 days ago where these officers got fired for this knee in the back. Another African American, killed by the hands of law enforcement. But these are corrections officers. I don't know if they're deputized. In my city, they go through the jail first and then they get deputized. Let's take a look at this story here, and I'm going to follow this and find out what happens.
Incident prior to the death of 31-year-old Anthony Johnson Jr. It shows a struggle with officers during a routine contraband check. During the struggle, the sheriff says 2 officers failed to follow department policies. Video shows one fired jailer putting his knee on Johnson's back. The sheriff says a supervisor.
There's no reason for him to be having his knee on his back at all. The guy's down on the ground. He got somebody holding him here and somebody holding him there. There's no reason for him to even move to that position. No reason for it.
Video shows one fire.
See, he's already down. Why? He's not going anywhere. He's already down. Why is the first question.
Putting his knee on Johnson's back. The sheriff says a supervisor also delayed getting Johnson medical care. Fox 4's Blake Hansen has the story.
That was his last words. That was him saying, "I can't breathe," and then you hear nothing else.
The sheriff released 2 videos Thursday of the April 21st incident involving 31-year-old Anthony Johnson Jr. The Marine Corps veteran was in custody for an incident days earlier when he was arrested for acting erratically at a Saginaw intersection while wielding a knife.
Early on in the investigation, just a few days after the incident, we realized that there might be some issues with what we were seeing.
It took you a few days to realize that man didn't even need to put his knee in the back at all. This looks like a serious Texas law, man. I'm a big fan of Texas law. But, no.
On video.
The sheriff's office was performing a routine check for contraband, which the sheriff said they ultimately found, including a shank and a razor. During the check, the sheriff says Johnson lunged at an officer, leading to a minutes-long struggle. The security camera footage is grainy at best. Johnson was pepper sprayed at one point. The clearer angle comes from a supervisor responding with reinforcements. The sheriff's office says it's now fired Officer Rafael Moreno, seen on the left, kneeling on Johnson's back.
You're arresting somebody, you're fighting it.
Now, if the guy's already down on the ground, why does that fat motherfucker need to put his knee in his back? They are charging him with murder. There's no reason for that.
Okay, to put a knee in the back until you get them restrained. Then what you do after that is immediately...
See, you put the knee in the back until you get them restrained. He was already restrained.
...in the recovery position immediately, and that didn't happen.
The sheriff's office also fired the man recording the incident, Lieutenant Joe Garcia, though the sheriff's office says it's not out of the norm to record in a situation like this.
Lieutenant Garcia was terminated on the basis that not only was he there, he was in charge, and he was allowing this to occur. He also did not respond to the urgency of the situation. He was not urgent in carrying out his duties, and that had a detrimental effect.
The sheriff says Garcia's handling of the situation also delayed getting Johnson medical care.
He should have had them, he put him in recovery position.
Hands or knee or something on him.
Medical to him. They were right there.
The video's release comes a day after Johnson's family formally requested the release of the video. The family says Johnson battled mental health issues but sounded normal in a call hours before his death.
There are too many missteps, and I think the missteps happened even before my brother. And I think with this, everybody has to be held accountable.
Sheriff Wayburn says the video release came now because investigators with the Texas Rangers wrapped up their interviews Wednesday. DPS is examining whether any crimes were committed. Key questions, including an official cause of death for Johnson, still have not been determined.
Make no mistake, if anybody is found of any wrongdoing, they will be held accountable.
The dude told him he couldn't breathe, and then he wasn't able to speak after that.
First off, that's Blake Hansen reporting. Also, prior to today's news conference, the Combined Law Enforcement Association of Texas revealed it was representing at least one of those fired officers and said it would appeal the firing. It also accused the sheriff of acting based on public pressure. The sheriff's office says Johnson's family was able to see the video today before it was released to the public. We reached out, but have not heard from family members yet.
Wow.
You really do this work to speak for those who can't speak for themselves.
You got to make sure that you got it right.
The medical examiner's job is always to look for the truth. Truth is always on the body and in the body.
Tarrant County Commissioners approved a $1.2 million lawsuit settlement Tuesday to Chastity Congias. Congias was an inmate at the Tarrant County Jail in 2020 when she gave birth alone in her cell. Her baby passed away.
Whenever she sees birthday parties of children, it triggers her. If she sees a kid's cartoon, it triggers her.
Chastity's family describes her as intellectually disabled. Her baby's death is just one of several issues the sheriff is dealing with these days. He's come under fire after the recent jail death of Anthony Johnson. Sheriff Wayburn finally released video days ago showing one of his officers kneeling on Johnson after a fight during a shakedown. They used pepper spray, but the cause of death is still pending. Because of this case, Wayburn briefed commissioners Tuesday on his plan to implement a critical incident and video disclosure policy.
We're going to be de-escalating today. As I stand here before you today, I promise you there's an officer in the jail getting to yes, de-escalating.
That policy includes special response teams that he says will look less threatening to inmates, particularly those dealing with mental health issues, which he says makes up 60% of his inmates in jail. Commissioners want further change.
I don't think pepper spray has served us well in Tarrant County, and I'd like to see private alternatives.
Community groups like the Justice Network of Tarrant County also want further change.
I'm having a hard time squaring what he said, the way he presented it, the de-escalation and all that, with the mission statement of his department, which says that they're there to protect.
Although Wayburn fired 2 officers in connection with Johnson's jail death, commissioners could find themselves voting again on yet another huge settlement. In Fort Worth, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Boy, he looks serious, don't he? Sixty inmates in that county.
Yes, I have to burn the problems now. The other works just the only thing I work on is time.
I believe that the officers have to have that stuff, but they have to implement every single procedure. You know, the knee in the back was okay, but they bring it up. Especially when he says he can't breathe, he's reminding him that he needs a recovery. More transparency's ass.